wait for a couple of minutes just to allow everyone to join in and settle down, and then we'll get started. We will definitely not be wasting this time. We'll use this time firstly to understand how we'll be conducting this webinar and what all you are going to learn in today's webinar. So we'll be covering all those topics. I'll just need a quick second just to check on the live stream. So just give me a quick second to check on that, and I'll be back with you in few seconds. So just give me quickly check. All right, so everything is working fine, and let me welcome everyone once again. So, good evening and a warm welcome to all the participants in today's webinar. The objective or the topic of today's webinar is around ONDC, how you can start selling on ONDC. That's the topic for today's webinar. So, firstly, let me share with you what are you going to get. You're investing your valuable time here. So what is the return that you can expect? So you are going to understand about ONDC. Firstly, you'll be able to understand what ONDC is, how it works, and how it can benefit your business. And then we'll get into the technical session wherein we'll understand the step-by-step process of enabling ONDC on your digital catalog, on your websites, how you can enable it. So we'll understand that process as well. So that is what you are going to learn or understand in today's session. Now, obviously, what are you going to do with this knowledge? So you'll be able to enable ONDC on your digital catalog on your website for your business. And once ONDC gets enabled on your digital catalog, after some time, it typically takes for 24 to 48 hours. After that, your products will become visible on ONDC, and that's where you can start getting leads, not leads, orders from ONDC. So that is what you are going to learn and what benefit you are going to get by participating in today's webinar. All right. And this is going to be an interactive webinar. So from time to time, I'll keep seeking your inputs, and towards the end of the session we'll dedicate about 10-15 minutes wherein if there's anything which is not clear to you, if there's anything that you would want to discuss with me, you can ask that or we'll discuss that in the Q&A session. All right, so now for our interaction, for our discussion, what are the tools that we are going to use? What are the methods that we are going to use? So down below, there are two options that you'll see, especially if you're joining through a laptop or desktop. In the navigation, you'll see there is an option which says Q&A. So Q&A is something that we'll be using for question answer. So if there is a question that you would want to ask me, so for that, we'll be using Q&A. And for our interaction. So if I want to interact with you or you want to interact with other wonderful business owners who are also joining us here today, you want to do networking with them, you want to tell them about what business do you do, where you are located, and what product or services you're offering. This is a wonderful networking opportunity as well. You should leverage that. So for that as well. So we will, or I would suggest that you should not add question in the Q&A. Sorry, you shouldn't add a question in the chat because you can see there are a lot of exchanges happen in the chat. So obviously the volume is a little higher in the chat. So that's where if you're adding your question, there is a chance that I may miss out. Although I try to keep peeking into the chat and Q&A so that if there is any question, I can like rightly answer that, right? Immediately I can answer that. Obviously, there are certain questions which I can't answer immediately, so I'll take them up when we are discussing the Q&A. But I try to answer them like real time, so that like there's a question which came to your mind, and if you're not getting the answer there and then, obviously you also lose the connection, right? I don't want that to happen, so I'll try to answer that immediately as well. All right, so this where I think we have waited for almost 5 minutes. So this where let's begin. Let me give a quick customary introduction in every webinar review. And I'm not sure how many of you had attended my previous session. Few of the known names I can see, there's Bipin ji, he has attended few of my previous webinars. So my name is Adnan. I am Director e-commerce or SME e-commerce growth at GlobalLinker. And as the title or designation suggests, my focus area at GlobalLinker is digital commerce, but in addition to that, I actively conduct these kind of webinars and training sessions for MSMEs so that they can also understand how they can leverage digital technology to grow their business. Because in today's day and age, availability of technology is not a problem, but knowing how to use that technology is a challenge. And that's where we try to contribute as much as possible. Because if you understand how to use technology, then majority of the battle is won. All right. So that was a quick introduction about myself. Uh, I forgot to mention, like I have conducted more than 450 such training sessions and webinar, and had the wonderful opportunity of interacting with more than 12,000 businesses. So that was a small piece that I missed out from my introduction. I thought of adding that as well. All right, so now I am going to start sharing my screen. And before that, let me just move the chat and Q&A window in the other monitor. So just give me few seconds to do that. It seems the participants today are not very keen on networking because typically in other sessions, the moment webinar gets started, the chat starts ringing with message after message, everyone introducing themselves. That's a wonderful thing, and if you're not doing it, it is your personal choice. But that helps you connect, and God knows there's a possibility you may be able to find a buyer or supplier in this session. All right, now let's get back to the webinar or the topic that we are all gathered here to discuss and understand. So for that, I am going to start sharing my screen, and we will get started with the discussion. So again, I'll need just a quick second to start the screen share. We hide the floating window, also floating controls, also so that they are not obstructing your view. All right, so this is where I think the slide has changed. So we have to go back. Yeah. All right, so let's begin. I will be using a mix of presentation and the live walkthrough as well. So we'll be doing a mix of both. Presentation is predominantly to keep us on track, to keep us focused, and also to ensure that none of the important point gets missed out. All right. So let's begin. Once again, good evening and a warm welcome to all the participants. My name is Adnan, and I am your presenter and host today. So the topic that we are going to understand today is how you can start selling on ONDC. And although I had explained it earlier, but I'm just repeating it for the participants who have just joined or who have joined later, that we will initially be understanding, or firstly, I'll be explaining what is ONDC and how it can benefit your business. And then we'll get into the technical session where I'll be explaining the step-by-step process of enabling ONDC on your digital catalog on your website. All right, so let's begin. Hope my screen is visible to everyone. I'll appreciate if few of the participants can confirm that you are able to see my screen. So if anyone can confirm, yeah, so few of the participants have started confirming. Thank you, everyone. I can't name everyone, but thank you, everyone, for confirming. Now let's begin. So we'll try to understand the origin of ONDC with real life example or relating to what led to the ONDC's origin. So just imagine that and you don't have to imagine, you actually run a business. So you're a business owner and you have decided that now you want to grow your business digitally. You want to start selling online. if you have to do online selling, then there are broadly two options which are available. Now, the ONDC is the third one which has come, but broadly, there are two options or two methods that you can consider, right? You want to sell online, what can you do? You can sell on your own website, your own e-commerce store, or you can sell on marketplace, right? These are the two options which are available, right? Now, let's evaluate both the options. So you decided to create your own online store, your own website, and on that website, you wanted to sell online. Now, obviously, you have created the website, and it is not like you're not Jack Ma, and you are not creating the website in 1992 where there was no traffic, and even a single website used to get a lot of traffic. It is not that day and age. So if you have created a website, if you have created an online store, the possibility of the right customer finding your website and then coming to your website and then giving you an order are highly unlikely. So what do you have to do? You have to do digital marketing to get people or tell the world that, hey, this is my website, this is the product or services I'm offering, and then please come to my website and evaluate or review my wonderful products and give me orders, right? So you have to do digital marketing for that. Now, if you have decided to do digital marketing, let's look at few broader mota numbers. So here I have written them. So if you want to, if your desire is to get 100 orders, and imagining a very high and optimistic conversion rate of 5%, that would reverse calculate to about 2,000 visitors, right? So if 2,000 people are coming to your website, then you will get 100 orders, right? The industry average is around 2%, but I have considered like a very optimistic 5%. So still you'll need 2,000 people to come to your website. Now, to get those 2,000 people, if I'm imagining that each click, so you run a text ad, for example, and that's where each click is costing you 20 rupees. So you'll end up 40 to 50,000 rupees to get those 100 orders, right? An expensive proposition. Then the second option that you have is that you can start selling on marketplaces. That's where you become a seller and you start selling. But there, you're not investing in marketing that aggressively. Although in today's day and age, if you want to sell on marketplaces, that's where also you have to advertise. You have to also spend on advertising. Otherwise, you'll not get visibility because there are thousands and thousands or like hundreds and thousands of sellers out there. So you'll not be able to stand out unless you're doing a very crazy pricing or you're advertising. That's where you'll be able to get decent amount of orders. But still, if you're ignoring that, just considering the commission, that's where again there's a significant commission that you'll end up paying. So for 100 orders, assuming 15% commission, so around 15-20,000 is something that you'll end up shelling out to get that much business. Now, that was something which was significantly challenging for businesses, right? Consider an MSME a small business. Obviously, they'll not be able to burn top dollar on digital marketing, and obviously, sometimes they don't even have that type of margin to pay to marketplaces. So that's where they are not able to sell their products or offer their products or grow their business digitally, and that was impacting many sellers or like countless number of sellers in the country. And that's where the government of India decided to create a democratized solution, which is called ONDC. Now, how ONDC is impacting? Now, firstly, and although I have switched the slide, so I'm not going to go back, but this is where I would want to understand what is your understanding? What do you think ONDC is? Right? Whether it is a platform, it is a website, what is ONDC? You can share your thoughts in the chat. So you can let me know what do you think. I'm waiting for your responses. What do you think is ONDC? What is your impression? And it is uh, not like you have to be absolutely clear. It is not like you're going to get marks onto that. Whatever you think, I want to understand your uh, understanding of it. So thank you. So there are participants who have started sharing their inputs. All right. So, thank you everyone who shared their inputs. And obviously, as I mentioned, it is not necessary that you have to be absolutely correct. You have to be absolutely accurate. Whatever was your imagination, whatever it was your understanding, if you have shared that, thank you for that. Thank you for participating. Participation is more important, right? Now, coming back to ONDC, firstly, something which I saw and a lot of members mentioned that it is a platform. I would like to clarify that it is not a platform, right? ONDC does not exist like in the physical sense. It is not like a website where you can go and you can place an order. Nothing like that. It is basically a network which connects buyers and sellers, right? So all of us use emails, right? All of us use emails. Now, I may have a Gmail account and you may have a Yahoo account or an AOL account. We are using two different service providers and two different technology. Like the interface is different, the servers are different, everything is different. But the moment I send you an email, within seconds you'll get the email, despite the fact that you are on Yahoo and I am on Google. How does that happen? Because we are connected through a network, SMTP network. Similarly, ONDC is a network which is connecting buyers and sellers, not essentially in the literal terms like buyers and sellers, but buyers and seller platforms or network participant, buyer network participant and seller network participant. It is connecting. The first clarification that I would want to share with everyone, it is not a network or not a platform. It is a network which connects buyers and seller. And obviously there are rules of engagement. So it is not like seller network participant, or as a seller you can do anything and the buyer can do anything. No, there are rules of engagement, and everyone has to adhere to follow those rules, and only then you are able to participate on ONDC. You have to comply with they have number of requirements, and that is something that we'll be discussing in next few minutes. So you have to comply to all the requirements. You have to provide all the required information. So that's where, in simple terms, they have laid down very clear rules of engagement, and that you have to follow those or adhere to those rules of engagement, and then only you are able to participate. Now, coming back to the original point that we were discussing, like, so we sort of imagined a scenario, we imagined a pre-ONDC kind of a scenario where, as a seller, you were in a very precarious sort of a situation where, like, you have to shell out significantly if you want to generate business through your online store. And if you're participating in ONDC, that's where again you're shelling out on commission. So it was not a very comfortable solution or situation as a seller for you. Now, what did ONDC change, or what does ONDC intend to change, right? So that's where it goes to the purpose, right? What is the purpose of the platform? What is the purpose of the solution, right? So that's something I've attempted to clarify through this diagram which you are seeing on the screen, right? So let me just quickly walk you through the diagram, and I hope it should help you understand. Otherwise, I'll also add additional input so that you're able to understand. Now, here again, you are the seller. Now you want to sell your offering, your products digitally. Now, how the ONDC has changed the dynamics. So here, as a seller, you'll create your online store, and this is where I've imagined that you are creating it on our platform, GlobalLinker. You have created your online store. Now, your online store is connected. You are listed on ONDC, so your online store is connected with ONDC. So your products which you have added here on your online store, they start appearing on buyer applications. So there are a number of buyer applications like Paytm, My Store, etc. So buyer application is an entity that brings buyer. So their responsibility is to bring buyer. Seller network participants' responsibility is to bring seller. So GlobalLinker is a seller network participant, and Paytm, for example, or My Store, for example, is a buyer network participant. So they will bring in the buyer. So on those buyer network participant applications, these products will start appearing. Now the buyer will or the customer will review the product on the buyer network applications. For example, they review the product on Paytm. So they'll review the product, and then they'll place an order. So they will be placing an order on the buyer application. For example, Paytm, they placed an order on Paytm, they liked your product and they placed the order. So that per order will again, so this line denotes that order will again get transmitted to your online store. So as a seller, you'll see, hey, I've received an order. And ONDC, obviously, ONDC orders are like highlighted separately. So you'll know that it is a ONDC order, an order that you have received through ONDC. Now, that's where you will review that order. You will process that order, right? You'll pack it and then you will deliver that order. So this is the delivery process, which is denoted by this dotted line. So this is where the order gets delivered to the buyer. Now, the moment you have updated the status of the order, so if you are using the integrated logistic like ShipRocket or Mamachip, that's where it will get updated automatically. But even if you are using a third-party logistic, in that case, the moment you have updated the status of the order that it is delivered, so that's where the buyer application will initiate the payment disbursal process. If you have specified a return period, so that will happen at the end of the return period. So, for example, if you are providing 10 days return, so after the end of 10 days, the return period after the closure of the return window, after that, the settlement will get started. Or if there is no return window, or you're not giving a return option to the customer, so in that case, the moment you have marked the order as delivered, after that, the buyer application will initiate the payment settlement process. And typically, buyer apps settle once or twice in a week. So whichever is the next upcoming cycle, that's where the payment will get disbursed. Now the payment will get disbursed, so it will come to GlobalLinker. So this is where it will come to GlobalLinker, and then GlobalLinker will make the payment to you, right? So this is the ONDC construct. Now coming back to that point, how is ONDC solving that problem that we were seeing earlier? So the problem was like if we are avoiding or we are just removing all these fancy terms, etc. The problem was of visibility. As a small seller or MSME, getting visibility in front of the customer, that was the biggest challenge, which you can either solve by marketing or you can solve by listing on marketplace. That was the scenario prior to ONDC. Now here with ONDC, that visibility challenge, that your products are visible, and that's where you're not shelling out significantly from your pocket. And in fact, one of the wonderful things on ONDC is that the buyer applications, obviously, they also have to make money at the end of the day. So they charge something called buyer finder fee. So that buyer finder fee is added back to the price. So you're not paying it. The buyer is paying the buyer finder fee. So essentially, the product price minus whatever taxes are there, you'll get that when the order is getting placed on ONDC. So that's the biggest advantage, that as a seller, you're not shelling out significantly to gain that visibility. And obviously, you're gaining the visibility in front of thousands of customers very easily. So that is the power of ONDC, or that is the benefit of ONDC, which is there. So this is where, again, I've tried to explain it through the calculation. Like if there are 100 orders, average order value is 1,000 rupees. So 100,000 or 1 lakh rupees, and your realization will be around 1 lakh minus whatever taxes is there. So how ONDC helps it gives you great exposure. It is convenient and it is cost effective as well. All right. So that is about ONDC. In my explanation about ONDC, I've tried to cover most of the common questions like what is the payment settlement time, etc. So I've tried to explain that as well. But if there is anything which I haven't covered, then you can ask that question as well. All right, so there was a question. I was just reading that question. So it turns out it was not a question, it was explanation about ONDC. All right, so no worries, we'll move on to the next important point related to our webinar today, or the second part of our webinar's discussion, that is how can you enable ONDC onto your digital catalog, on your online store, on your website. I can see there's one question in the Q&A. Mr. Anthony has asked that question. Wants to understand how can I sell custom-made products. So custom-made products were not supported on ONDC in the version 1.1, but very soon we are going live with version 1.2. And custom products will be supported in version 1.2. So I'll suggest, Mr. Anthony, you should create a little catalog as soon as ONDC enables custom products. You can go live in matter of days. All right. So let's come back to the presentation or the discussion. So now we are going to start the second chapter or the second section of today's webinar, where I'm going to explain to you how you can enable ONDC onto your digital catalog. Next question I can read in the Q&A is from John, and wants to understand what about the pricing of the product. Is it the same which the seller specified? Yes, absolutely, it is the same. So if you're selling a product for 100 rupees, it is displayed at 100 rupees. And if you have specified, sorry, I think I accidentally clicked on the presentation. All right. So so it will be 100 rupees. And if you're charging selling price or delivery charges, shipping fee, if you're charging shipping fee, it will be displayed separately as a separate line item. And the buyer finder fee, which is getting charged from the customer, it is displayed as a convenience fee or buyer finder fee as a separate line item, right? So whatever additional is getting added, it is added as a separate line item. The price is not manipulated because that is against the law, right? So just imagine a scenario, the MRP of the product is 100 rupees, and if something gets added, it goes beyond 100. That is illegal. It is unlawful to do, and strict legal action can be taken because MRP violation or MRP manipulation is strictly prohibited. All right. So that was around John's question. All right. Now coming back to the process. So this is where we'll go through these points and we'll understand. So this is where I will also be explaining the process, showing you the live screens. So it is basically 4 points that we are seeing on the presentation. And these are the 4 stages that you have to go through. So let's start the process and let's start understanding what are the stages that you have to go through, what are the steps that you have to go through to enable ONDC on your digital catalog. The first one is enabling ONDC on your online store. So you have to switch on that feature. You have to switch on ONDC. And how do you do that? So for that, I'm going to switch my screen, and very quickly I'll take you to another browser window. This is where I have the seller panel of a demonstration store open, and obviously the assumption is that you have or let me say it in a more simpler way, that ONDC enablement should be done or must be done once your website is ready. Once you have added the products, you don't need to get into the aesthetics of it, like it should look beautiful, etc. So that is something that you can keep parallelly working on. But your product catalog, your product must be uploaded, including all the information like visuals, description, pricing, etc. So it should be all uploaded. Your website, your online store should be completed. Only then you should enable ONDC, because I've seen we interact with sellers who enable ONDC on a daily basis, and that's where I've seen that people have not even uploaded a single product and they have just enabled ONDC. It is of no use, because obviously the system will not allow you to be present on ONDC without adding all the required information. There are system filters which will evaluate, and I'll be talking about those system filters in the next slide, or the 4th point is about those system filters only. So that's where it is crucial that if you are going to enable ONDC, before that, create your online store, complete it, and once it is completed, that's where you should enable ONDC. And in case you're not sure that whether my online store is complete or not, and I want to enable it on ONDC, reach out to us. You can reach out to our help desk, or you can reach out to me personally, and I'll be more than happy to guide you, these are the mistakes or these are the issues that you should fix, and then you can enable ONDC, right? So, but ensure that you have completed your store. All right. Now, coming back to the process, so you have to enable ONDC. The first step or the first action that you have to take towards going live on ONDC, making your products visible on ONDC, the first action item is to enable ONDC. And how do you do that? So for that, you have to firstly open the seller panel or control panel of your online store. Once you have done that, then in the left navigation, you'll see there is something called store settings. I'm just highlighting that for everyone's reference. So just click on store settings, and then you have to click on store details. And obviously, the next page will load up. My internet is a little slow, so bear with me on that. So the page has loaded up, and that's where on the corner of the screen you can see enable ONDC, and all of you must be tempted like, let's click on enable ONDC and let's see what needs to be done to enable ONDC. But before you go there, and this is something that you must also do when you're enabling ONDC, and that is before going here, click on address. And here I want you to do a very simple check. And the check is you have to check this address that you have added, it is correct, and the Google location, which is more important, that you should have added the Google location. Now, if you have not added the Google location and you're enabling ONDC, it will not get enabled. This is also a common mistake that sometimes people do, that, hey, we have enabled ONDC, but our products are not visible. Then we work with them, we investigate what has happened, and they haven't added the Google location, which is a must, because the system has to determine precisely where you're located. So you should input your Google location. And so come here, check the address is correct, Google location is added. Once you have checked and you have ensured that Google location is added and the address is correct, click on save and then move on to enable ONDC. So first, I'll just repeat the process for everyone's reference. So open the seller panel, then in the left navigation, click on store settings. After that, click on store details. Click on address, come here, check the address, check Google location, both are correct. Then, or if required, make the changes, and then you click on enable ONDC. So once you are on this section which says enable ONDC, the first thing that you have to do is to add the GST number. To add the GST number, you have to click on add GST number, which will take you to profile, and that's where you can add the GST number. So you'll get redirected to another page where you have to input the GST number. Once the GST is verified, you can come back here. Now, after adding and verifying your GST number, the next thing that you have to do is to add your bank detail. This is where you have to input your IFSC code, bank name, branch name, account number. You have to repeat the account number. You have to specify what type of bank account it is, current or saving, and the name associated with the bank account. Now, curiously, a question which gets frequently asked, and that is, why do you need our bank account? Obviously, there are so many frauds that we keep on hearing every day. So that's where it is absolutely correct. If you're skeptical, if you're curious, like, why do you need this information? So this information is required to settle the payment with you. Or let me just take you back to the presentation. So this where, if we go back, this where, so you see you received an order from the buyer application, received an order, and then you delivered the order. After that, the payment came to GlobalLinker. So we received the payment. Now we have to give the payment to you. If we don't know your bank details, that's where we'll not be able to make the payment for you. So we need these details for giving the money to you. So that's why we need these details, and it is important that you should add these details also correctly, like cross-check them at least 3 times that you're adding the correct detail. And this was also something like, I'm not making up. We have had a case wherein wrong details were added. Thankfully, the payment didn't go through. If it had gone through, then like getting it back and then settling it with the right seller would have been another exercise. But thankfully, payment didn't go through. There was an error. But yes, there had been instances where people had added wrong bank details. So please don't do that. Cross-check your bank details. Otherwise, it may lead to unwanted inconvenience. Just cross-check it 1 or 2 times so that the bank account number, IFSC code, etc., all that is added correctly. After that, if you scroll down, that's where you'll see the beneficiary address. So this is basically the address associated with this particular bank account. So you have to just input the address, or if it happens to be the same as your store address, your website's address, then you can click on this button as well, which you can see here. And then you have to enable this. Don't forget to enable this. This is also a common mistake. A lot of time people just forget to enable this button. They added all the details and then they are waiting. ONDC should get enabled, and they have missed out doing this. So you shouldn't do that. Just be a little careful to enable this button. And then you'll see terms of service. You have to agree to terms of service, and then you have to click on save and enable. But my suggestion would be not just blindly agree to terms of service. Click here, it will open as a separate tab and read this. It will not take you more than 5 minutes to read it, but it will give you a very good understanding about how ONDC, what are the various terms, etc. Please do read this document. It will give you lot of clarity which is required towards ONDC or the working of ONDC. So please do read it as well. Don't just blindly agree to it and then click on save and enable. So this is the first step in enabling ONDC, and I'll just very quickly repeat it. So you have to open the seller panel, and then in the left navigation you'll see store settings. You click on it, it will expand, and then you'll see store details. Click on it, and then this page will open up. Firstly, go to the address tab, just check the address is added correctly, the Google location is added correctly. Then come to enable ONDC input and verify your GST. After that, add your bank detail, input the beneficiary address, enable the ONDC feature, and then review and agree to terms of participation on ONDC, and then click on save and enable. So this is the first step that we have to take. So this is how you will be able to enable ONDC. Now, this is not all, right? So we are done. We have done the job. No, this is just the first step. So once you have done this, then you have to go to the product section. So in the left navigation, you have to click on catalog, and after that, you have to click on products, which will open the product management interface. This is the product management interface. Although this can be done manually as well, but I'm not going to take you there. And the second thing which I'm going to so the process which I'm going to show to you is V1.2, the latest version of ONDC process, which is right now, as we are speaking, is not live. So what I'm showing you is something which is there on our dev environment, but it will be live soon. So I'm sharing with you something which will be live very soon, so that when you are doing it yourself, you don't get confused, like the interface is different or the steps are different, so that you are able to relate to it, and you can adhere to the new process which is getting implemented. So that's why I'm already sharing something which is going to be live very, very soon. All right. Now, coming to the second step, that is mapping products to ONDC category. How do you do that? So you can do that manually as well, but I'm not going to share that with you because that is little time consuming. You can do that much quickly by downloading this file. So you can click on download the ONDC category file, which will download an Excel file onto your device. So I'll just do that for the benefit of time. I've already downloaded this file. So this is the file which will get downloaded. Now there are columns like product title, name, etc. So basically you'll be able to identify the products. It is not like you have downloaded the file and then you're clueless what is this product and what categories do you have to map. So this is where if we look at, I'm just going to expand the two columns. B and C. So first one is a product codes, which are system generated codes. So you'll not be able to relate to them. But this is where you have the product title. So you can look at the name of the product and you can relate it. It is a t-shirt or it is something else. Yeah, organic basmati rice, etc. So you'll be able to relate to it very easily. Now, once you have identified the product, then we have also provided a specification, like summary description and the brand name and a category, etc. So you'll be able to understand what the product is. Now, once you have understood and identified this is the product, so this row represents which product. Once you have done that, then you have to tell the system that this product belongs to this category and this subcategory. That's what you have to do. Now, that's where the question comes, like, how do I get the list of categories and subcategories? Although I know that this is a t-shirt. So for example, this row we are looking at, this is a t-shirt. So I have to tell, like I have to input some category and subcategory. From where will I get? So here in row number 2, if you see, we have given a link of a file. So it is basically a Google Sheet. So I will just quickly come here and I will open it very quickly. Right. So here, this is the file which opens up. So on the top, you'll see the categories like grocery, fashion, etc., etc. Now, here, if you're talking about this particular product, sorry, my device is acting up a little bit. All right, so this is a t-shirt, so which means it is from fashion category. So here we can see fashion is one of the categories, so we can select that. Then we can see t-shirt here. So the parent category will be fashion, so we can copy it from here and we can just paste it, fashion, and the ONDC category will be t-shirts. So we can again copy paste it like this. Like this. So you have to tell the system, you have to basically map your products to the ONDC category. ONDC has provided their categorization. Now you have to map your products to it. You have to tell my product belongs to this category and this subcategory. That's what you have to do. And the quickest and the easiest way is to do using this Excel file. So once you have made changes, once you have done the mapping, you have to save this file and then you have to go back to the seller panel. And here you'll see there is a button which says upload ONDC category files. You have to upload this file, right? That is all you have to do in the stage number 2 of enabling ONDC. Now, as I mentioned, it can be done manually as well. So I'll very quickly show you how it is done. So you can click on edit and then you have to scroll down. And here you'll see the parent category and subcategory, right? So you can do it manually as well if you want, but that method is a lot quicker and a lot easier to do. So that's where I suggested or recommend that method. Download it from here and upload it from here. Download from here and upload it from here. Obviously, after doing the mapping. All right. So that is, if we go back to the presentation, that is the action item number 2. All right. Now we have to go to action item number 3. Now action item number 3 is little elaborate because it has to part adding mandatory information and mapping with ONDC value. So we'll take up both the points separately. Like there are individual action items that we have to take for the item number 3 that we are seeing on the screen. So let's go back to the seller panel. Let's try to understand each action item. Now, once you have done this ONDC category mapping, you'll see a success notification. So don't do anything unless you have seen the success notification. So once you will upload the file, it will take few minutes. And after that, you'll see a success notification. You'll see a green notification that it is uploaded. So ONDC category mapping is done. After that, refresh this page, reload this page, and then you can go ahead to do the next step. The next step would be to download these 2 files, this one and this one. Both of them you have to download. Now I will take you to the files. I've already downloaded them. So this file, if you click on download products, will download this file, which is export products. Now, there are a bunch of fields which are important, and we'll be talking about a few of them later. So, but as part of this process, which is adding the ONDC mandatory information, this column, which is ITC HS code, it is important. You should input HS codes for all the products that you have here. So just input the HS codes, save the file, go back, upload it from here. All right. So I'm just going to repeat what I said so that you can relate to it. So you will come here after you have done the ONDC category mapping. That is important. Unless you haven't done this step, don't do anything else which I'm explaining. So once this is done and you have seen it has been done successfully, in fact, you can cross-check, you can open one of the product and you can check that the category mapping has been done. Then you can come here and click on download product, which is this button, which will download this file. And on this file, you'll see there is a column which says ITC HS codes. So here in this column, you have to input the HS code for each of the products, which again, it is information which is available with all the sellers. So you have to just input the HS codes and then save the file, come back here and click on upload products and upload this file. I hope that is clear. So once you have done that, then you can click on download CSV, which is the next file. All right. So once I have done that, that is where this file will get downloaded. And it is a fairly broad file. So it has a large number of columns. So it starts from here and it goes all the way to like AU. So it has like more than 30 odd columns. Right. So this file is predominantly used for price and inventory updates and also for creating filters and adding the weight related information, etc. But for ONDC, towards the end of the file, so you have to navigate towards the extreme right side of the file. And when you'll go there or when you'll reach the extreme end of the file, the extreme right side of the file, that's where you'll see there are columns for net quantity, net weight, manufacturer, packer address, manufacturer, packer name, month and year of manufacturer, NEN code or G10, right? So this will be either G10 slash EN code. So it will be either of the two. So net unit is, for example, if it is a t-shirt, so it is 1 unit, but if it is a grocery item, so let's say chana dal, so it will be 1 kilogram or 500 grams. So you have to, and this is where the weight is to be there. So net weight, so 1 kilogram or 300 gram, like that, you can specify the weight. So this is a unit and that is the weight. So 1 unit, 2 units, or 1 kilogram, 2 kilogram, and this is where weight will be there. So just not to clarify. So if it is a t-shirt, it will be 1 unit. And for example, the weight of that t-shirt happens to be 200 grams. So sorry, like that, you have to input. Now, if it is 1 kg here, so it will be 1 kg here. Like that, you have to input the data. Then you have manufacturer or packer name. Now, if you have the name and address of the manufacturer, you should input it here. That is obviously the best thing that you can do. But obviously, it is not easy to get the manufacturer name and address for each of the products. So in that case, you can input your name and your address as well. So it is either your name or address because you are the packer of the order, or it is the manufacturer's name or address. So either of the two you have to input. So it is not like if you're feeling like, oh, it is such a big effort that you have to put. You have to go and check for manufacturer name and their address for each of the products that we are selling. That is a very big effort. Don't worry. You can input your address as well. You can input your name and address as well. Then you have month and year of manufacturer. So this is where you have to specify month and year. You don't have to get to the date specific. So you don't have to go to that specific level. Just month and year of manufacturer will then net unit. So again, 1 unit or 1 kg, and then you have to input G10 or EN code, and then you have to save the file, go back to the seller panel and click on bulk edit CSV. So this time you have to click on this option with bulk edit CSV and upload the file. Now, again, if you have to do this manually, how do you do that? So I'll just very quickly show you that as well. So I clicked on edit. Now here you'll see the HS code. This is where you can input the HS code. Now for the remaining information, you have to go to price and variant and then click on edit. And then you have to click on, just scroll down on this overlay. You'll see ONDC related information, and that's where all these fields will be there. Somehow, like my browser froze, so it is not responding, but this is where you'll see all the fields and you'll be able to input them. I hope you understood the location. All right, so this is first part of stage number 3. There's a second part also of stage number 3. So we'll now go and understand the second part of stage number 3. So for that, we have to now go to My Store in the left navigation. So this is where you see My Store is there. You will click on it. And then you'll see something called ONDC dashboard. So you have to click on that. So left navigation, my store, and then ONDC dashboard. So ONDC dashboard has step one and step two. So download attribute and download specification. Now with specification, because it is a heavy file, 20 MB plus. So just ensure that your internet connection is able to support that kind of download. And second, it is a heavy file, so close everything else. Otherwise, your PC might get crashed. So just giving a word of caution. So download attribute and download specification. Download both the files. You don't have to like do this first. Download this first and download second, but upload first and then upload this one, right? So it should not be like you're uploading this first. This is the step one. So download it and then input the value. So I'll just very quickly show you this file. So this is the attribute mapping file. So it will get done. As like two colors and five sizes. So this is like one product only, two colors and five sizes. Now these columns will be pre-populated based on the category mapping that you have done, right? So you don't have to worry about column number J and K. The subdomain and category will be pre-populated. So it will already have the data in it. Now you have to provide the data in the columns L and M. What are the data? So for example, here we have attribute of color. So we'll have to select color from the drop down. We have done that. And then we have to select the color, which is green. So again, we have to here we have the green color like this. And then we can just copy it and paste it wherever we have to specify green. So there's one more green. We can do that like this. I think there's one more. And then we have white. So I'm not going to waste your valuable time like explaining this. This is basically a manual work which can be done very easily. But important point is to help you understand that. So that was for the color, and then we have to specify it for size. So because this is where you can see the variation is on the basis of size. So here you have to select size from the drop down, and then you can select. So this is size small, so we can select small. And this is size M. So same thing, selecting size and then the value, medium, like that. So you have to populate this file. You'll have to provide the information, and this is only relevant. So you may get a blank file if you don't have a product that has variants. This is only for variants where you have a product which has variants. So same t-shirt available in different colors and different sizes, or same face wash available in different jar sizes or bottle sizes, right? So that kind of scenarios where you have created variants, that's where you have to do the attribute mapping, right? Once you have populated this file, and do this cautiously because it may lead to unnecessary rejection and it will impact your ranking on ONDC as well, right? So if you're sending wrong information and it gets detected, obviously you'll be barred from the bar applications, and it will have a negative impact on your ranking as well. So please review this information before uploading, right? So once you have populated this file, just review it one or two times so that every field is updated properly, the right information is selected, and then save this file, go back to the seller panel and upload it from here, right? So this is the step number one. Once you have done the step number one, then you can download the specification file. And as I mentioned, this is a heavier file. So like close everything else when you're opening this file, otherwise your system might get crashed. So again, here we'll find the layout is similar, and again the category or the group name or the specification group name and specification subgroup name, which is category and subcategory, that is populated. Your specification name. So up till this level, up till column G, the file will come pre-populated. You can already see that. So it is not like I have populated this file. It will get downloaded in this way. Now there are two or one value that you have to specify. And here the important point that you should keep in mind and keep in consideration when you are working on this file is the mandatory field. So there are fields which are highlighted as mandatory and optional. Let me just zoom in a little bit so that it is a little bigger. So here you can see brand color and size, or brand or color are mandatory. So you have to specify what is the brand or what is the color. So wherever the value, so for example, obviously there is no, uh, there are infinite number of brands. So obviously this is something that you have to input. So for example, it is Puma. So you can input it like that. And then for color, you'll get a drop down. So similarly, how we selected the color there, you can select it from the drop down very easily. I'll just select something. Now for size also, although it is an optional field, you'll get a drop down. So wherever it is, the ONDC has specified the values, you'll get it a drop down. Wherever you are not getting a value in the drop down, it is an open field. So you have to type in, you have to input the text. All right. So this is the second file that you have to update. The important point, again, I'm repeating that you have to provide information for all the fields which are highlighted as mandatory. But it is my personal recommendation and request to you that when you are doing this, please provide information for all the fields which are there, because that will help in your product's discoverability or visibility, right? So the products with much richer information will get precedence over the products that does not have that rich information, because this information has an impact on the customer decision making. So any seller that is putting in the effort and they are providing all the information will certainly get a precedence. They'll get a higher visibility as compared to someone who is not putting in the effort, and they're just providing the mandatory information. So when you are giving the information, please add it for all the fields which are there for that product. But in case that is not possible for some reason, please ensure that you are adding the mandatory. Now, in case, what if you have not even added the mandatory information? What if you haven't done that? In that case, system itself will not show your product on ONDC. Your products will not even get transmitted to ONDC. The system itself will block your product because you haven't provided the mandatory information, right? So mandatory is something that is bare minimum that you have to provide. But if you are serious, if you want to sell your products on ONDC, if you want to receive orders through ONDC, then it is important that you are providing information for all the fields which are specified, so that your product information, your data is richer and you get better visibility. All right. So this is the second step that you have to do. So once you have updated the specification file, you can come here and upload the specification file. That completes this step number 3. Now comes the mandatory or compliance requirement of ONDC. And for that, I will be taking you to the next slide. This is where I've written all the mandatory requirements. So the product inventory should be more than or equal to 5. So any product that has less than 5 units of inventory is not displayed on ONDC. So you must ensure that the inventory of the product is greater than 5. How do you check for that? We can use the variant file which we had downloaded, where we had inputted these manufacturer packer names. So in the same file, if you, sorry, I clicked on the other file. So in the same file, if you come to the left side, that's where you'll see there's a column called quantity. So here you have to just basically check that the inventory should be more than 5. All right. So that is the first mandatory requirement. Minimum 1 image should be uploaded. You should increase it to 3. 1 is bare minimum, but ideally it should be 3 images which you should upload. But 1 is mere minimum that you should upload. So that is also something that you can see if you have uploaded it for variants. So these will be visible here. Otherwise, on the digital catalog, you can go and check that you have uploaded at least 1 image. Summary description should be more than 60 characters. So if the summary description of your product is the less than 60 characters, your products will not be transmitted to ONDC. They'll be not be pushed to ONDC. So here, if you come, and this is the download products file. So this is the product management section. I'm just taking you back there. So this is the file I'm talking about. If you download this file, that will have the summary. So you can simply apply a formula that is a simple Excel formula called LEN, and then just select the cell. I'm just doing that very quickly to help you understand. So this description is 159 characters, which is okay. So you can just do this very quick calculation in the Excel to check, download that file and check if there's any product that has less than 60 characters of description. And then you can simply select the cell and I'm sorry, there was a disruption in connectivity. I lost connection in between and it took few seconds to come back. Not seconds, it took almost a few minutes to come back. So we are also nearing the end. So I'll just quickly present and quickly walk you through the remaining points. All right. So we were discussing about the summary description. So summary description is should be greater than 60. And for that, I suggested that you can download the product file. And that's where you apply a simple formula, which is LEN in Excel, and you'll be able to see the number of characters, and you can ensure that the product price should be greater than 0. So you can easily check using the variant update file. Then the product type should be checkout. Now this is important. So how do you check product type is checkout? So again, you can use the product file. So you can come here and there is a column for product type. This is the column. And here you can see it has to be checkout or it has to be checkout underscore inquiry. If it is just inquiry, then these products will not be visible on ONDC. All right. So that is about ensuring the checkout. Then minimum order quantity should be 1. If it is a higher quantity, then your product will not be visible on ONDC. Then you have visibility should be either B2C or both. This is also something that you can check with the product file. So this is where you have a column for visibility. So it should be both or B2C. If it is B2B, if it is this, then your product will not be visible on ONDC. Now, product customization should not be enabled because at the moment, ONDC does not support customizable products. So it should not be enabled. If you have enabled it, disable it. And then once ONDC switches on or enables customizable products or start supporting customizable products, that's where you can turn that back on. Now, the last point is integrated logistics should be enabled. So, which means either of the two logistic operators which are there on the platform. So, if you go to store settings and you go to shipping, that's where you'll see there are courier operators like Ship or ShipRocket. So, either of the two should be signed up and operational. So, if you come here in the shipping and you go to courier services, so either Ship or ShipRocket, because ShipMax is international. So either of the two should be enabled. So you should sign up with them and enable it here. That is a mandatory requirement. All right. So now this is where, in case you're wondering why is it a mandatory requirement, because ONDC works on a very tight timelines. So within 24 hours, you should dispatch the order and the order should be delivered on time. Now, if you're using third-party logistics, that's where the automated tracking does not work. So that's where it is dependent on you. And you may forget to update the status of the order because you have already dispatched. And that's where it may exceed the timeline. And that's where your ranking might get impacted, or your ranking will certainly get impacted, which will be having a negative impact on your business. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen accidentally also. So that's where you can use Ship and ShipRocket. That's where you get the advantages of automated tracking. So you have to just dispatch the order. The tracking is done by system itself. And whenever the order is delivered, immediately it is updated as delivered. And you don't end up losing on the valuable time, and your ranking remains high. All right. So this is all from my side in today's session. I'm going to stop sharing and we will break into the question answer round. I can see there's one question in the chat from Mercy Wilson. I can't enable ShipMax. So ShipMax is for not for domestic, it is for international. But if you need help with enabling ShipMax as well, you can reach out to our help desk. I'll provide the email ID. So it is info@linker.store. So you can drop an email. I am also sharing my email ID. So drop an email and our team will guide you with fetching the API data. Next question is from Bipinji. So Bipinji, B 1.2 will be getting live on the panel soon. So whenever it goes live, we'll be personally connecting with you and updating you. So with all the sellers who have enabled ONDC, we'll be informing them personally. All right, so this is where for the chats, I am going to share my contact details with very quickly with all of you. So if any one of you is facing any difficulty in enabling ONDC or needs any help or guidance, please do feel free to reach out to me. So I'm sharing my contact details with you. Please do feel free to reach out to me. I can see there's a question from John. So, John, I'm, to be honest, not entirely clear on your question. What are you trying to understand? Now, based on my understanding or my interpretation of your question, so you are creating your online store on GlobalLinker. Now, that online store or the products which you have listed on the online store gets transmitted through the ONDC network, and they start appearing on the buyer applications where buyers can see your products and they can place an order. And if they place an order, that comes to your online store where you can see that order and you can pack and deliver that order. So that's how it will work. Now, if your question is, will your store also start appearing as a buyer application? Certainly not. There is a very strict certification process that one has to go through. It is a very, very stringent process that one has to go through to either become a seller network participant or buyer network participant. So it is not like just by enabling ONDC, you'll become a buyer network participant. You have to go through a certification process. There's a lot of technology and back-end process in customer care and customer grievances processing. You have to set up entire teams, etc. So there's a lot that is required to join as a network participant, whether you're joining on the buyer side or whether you're joining on the seller side, right? So that's where you have your online store. You can keep marketing it directly and keep getting the customers onto it. You can do search engine optimization, search engine marketing, or social media marketing to get customers onto your online store. But essentially, you'll be joining as a seller. You'll not become a buyer app on ONDC. All right. Any other question from any other participant before we conclude the session for today? So I am guessing there are no further questions. So this is where we will end this session for today. Thank you everyone for taking our time and participating in the session. You have my email ID. So if you have any question or if there's anything which is not clear to you, please do feel free to reach out to me. All right. So this is where we'll conclude this session for today. Thank you.